So I'll continue from where we left off from. So as I said, it has to be a gradual thing. You have to be patient. You have to take your time to gather this information. So with the same exercise conducted with the net interest income, as in the industry average, I came out with this figure, 452,067.07. This is the industry average. So we can pick any of the institutions. So let me begin with the Cowbank GCB stand chart. This is the first three. So Cowbank, GCB, and the stand chart. I hope you can all see the screen. You can see the figures that I am putting out here. I hope you can also see the calculation, yes, the formula I put in there. Okay, good. So this is the industry average. So I'll just put here industry average. Okay, so Cowbank, we have our net interest income. I'll just go and pick the net interest income for Q2 2023, then enter. So this is Q2 sorry, Q2 2023. All right, so I'll do the same for GCB. Net interest income. Okay, so I have to justify. Okay. 3. I think I have to do something about the GCB figure. Please give me a minute. Okay, I think it's in order. It's in order. Okay. So let me go back to the industrial averages. So I'll go back to stand chart. Sorry about the break. Stand chart. Let's go and pick the figure, the Q2 2023. All right. So from this, we can tell that GCB is performing above the industrial average of 452,067. Stand chart is also performing above the industry average in terms of net interest income, and Cowbank is performing below the industry average. Okay, I hope this is clear. It is quite simple, but you can apply some percentages to them. Right? I don't want to go into that first. I want to pick it one after the other. So this is in plain language. We can tell which of these institutions are performing above or below the industry average. Let's go deeper into the other institutions. Go to, this is Societe Generale. So SG, SSB. So the industry. Societe Generale is, I have to pick this figure. So Societe Generale is performing below the industry average. Okay, and let's pick this one as the last figure here. So Access Bank, just in case you are also ABG, that is Maxwell's company. So Access Bank 262. So Access 2 is performing below the industry average. That's a bit surprising anyway. Okay, so these are the figures we have here. So from all these banks, we have stand charts, SCB and Societe Generale, all performing above the industry average, and the Cowbank and ABG performing below the industry average. So basically, this is how the information is about. You have to have a very complete data. It is very important. Take your time and collect the data, and then you compare your company with the industry averages. Okay, so I'll go back to sorry, the PowerPoint presentation. Please, if you have any question, you can write it down right after the presentation. You just ask your questions, then we can move along. Okay, so that is it with the industry averages. I hope I am very clear on that. All right, I hope I'm very clear on that. So that is it about the industry averages. So then you can talk about the SWOT.
Okay, I think you'll be with us shortly, so kindly bear with us. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sorry. I think I had a network issue. I'm back.
So while Kofi is working out the technical hitches, if you have any questions so far, what I encourage you to do is to organize them, and you can put them in the chat, or you can organize them on maybe yes, like Kofi said, yes, like Kofi said, when you're organizing your team, you should bear in mind, or you should factor the strengths of every single person. Some people might be good with the analysis, some people might be good with the presentation, and some people might be good with the research. So you should look at the full complement of skill sets needed. Then you compose your teams. All right. Okay. I think Kofi's back, so let's continue.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I've had some few challenges here. Okay, so I think we should just finish with this industry analysis first, so that we don't come back to it again. Okay, so with the industry analysis, as you can see, we've done the comparison. All right, Cowbank is performing lower than the industry average. GCB is performing higher than the industry average, but you need to quote them in percentages. All right, it's important that you quote them in percentages. So in Excel, this is how to go about it. So Cowbank here. So Cowbank, the current figure, all right, so they pick the figure for Cowbank, you click on it, all right, minus the industry average. Okay, it's a simple approach. You enter. Okay, so, and you put your equal to sign again. You click on the product that you get, what's the amount that you get, all right. Then you divide it by the Cowbank figure. Okay, then this figure you multiply by 100. So this tells you that Cowbank is performing about 64% below the industry average when it comes to net interest income. Okay, I'll go for it again. So this is the industry average. This is the Cowbank figure. All right, this is the formula. Let me just remove it and go over it again. So it's the Cowbank figure minus the industry average. You can enter. If you're good with Excel, you can easily put them together and just drop it down. All the figures will come down. Then the next thing you have to do is to divide the Cowbank figure, that's the D7, No, sorry, the figure that you get, this figure here, let me just remove it so that we can all follow. So you divide this figure you got in here by the CowBank figure. All right. Then you multiply this here times 100. That is telling us that CowBank is performing 64% lower or 63.74% lower than the industry average. You can do same for CowBank, for GCB, sorry. For us to not waste much time, we can just copy and paste. Okay, just to be sure, you move this here, enter. All right, you copy, you paste. Just be sure you're doing the right thing. Okay, then you can do the same copy and paste. Okay, so this is telling us that GCB is performing 66 or 67% higher than the industry average. With just looking at it, you can tell this 1.3, this is 152,000. All right, mind you, they are in millions. All right, but just for the sake of the figures that we are seeing here. All right, so 66.68% above the industry average. You do the same thing for all of these. Okay, for those of us who would want me to take my time with it, I'll just go over it. So the figure here minus the industry average, you enter this product here divided by the stand chart figure, you enter, then the figure you get multiplied by 100. Okay, so 18.01%. So if you've picked stand charts as the institution, as the bank that you want to conduct your analysis on, straight away you can see that with net interest income, you are stand chart is performing at about 18% higher than industry average. So these are some of the things that you have to talk about. So you can pick the industry. You can pick like 5 of them, 5, 6. You can even pick like 10. It depends on how well you'll be able to go about your presentation. All right. So with all this information, let's go back to this sheet. Scroll right. So you can talk about the interest income, interest expense, the operating income. You can even do the averages on the ratios, right? We'll talk, as I said, we'll talk about the ratios. We'll find out how the calculations are done. But I know with some of the business students out there, you know some of them already because I think current ratio is one of the commonest ratios that most of the business students are aware of. So you pick about 6, 7, all right, so that you can use it to talk about the industry, how well your company is doing against the industry averages. Okay, that's all we want to know about your company versus industry. Your company versus industry, is it performing above industry average or not? That's all we want to know about the industry versus. But you can also go ahead and talk about SWOT analysis. It's also very important. And I would like to also go into the SWOT analysis when it comes to this stock pitch competition. So with the SWOT analysis, so we would like to know about the strength, as we all aware. So SWOT is the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Okay, so with the strengths, internal attributes that give an advantage to the venture, tangible assets like skilled workforce, proprietary technology, or strong financial resources, intangible assets like brand reputation, customer loyalty, intellectual property. If you can gather at least 4 strengths that you can pick, you can identify from your company. So for stand chart, you can easily talk about the international collaboration, the mother company not being in Ghana, the strength that they have, the brand that they have also internationally. We can talk about the size of the assets compared to what the peers are doing. You know, let's talk about how strong they are, how long they've been operating as a bank in Ghana and even internationally. All right. You can also talk about some of the weaknesses I don't know what weaknesses you would like to talk about. Maybe it's not really localized. The Ghanaian cannot really associate well with StanChart. It can associate more with maybe UMB than with StanChart. Identify some of the weaknesses to talk about. All right. Then opportunities that is out there. So as customers of Standard Chartered Bank, you have the opportunity to transfer money internationally. You know, opportunities that come with the institution. All right, emerging market trends, new customer segments, regulatory changes, technological advancement that align with the venture's goal. If just try to identify some of the opportunities and put it in a nice way in your presentation document. And the threats that are out there, external challenges that pose risks to the venture's success. So StanChart International, you can talk about the global market performance in the US, the UK, how it can impact the performance of StanChart as a global company. So if there's the impact is set out there, how it will impact the institution locally too. Okay, competition from established players and new entrants, economic downturns, inflation, how inflation affects your institution. All right, currency fluctuations, how it is impacting the profitability of the business. Okay, changing regulatory landscape and legal issues. Okay, so these are some of the things you should try to identify. So conducting a SWOT analysis involves gathering information from various sources, both internal and external. It requires a realistic assessment of the venture's capability and its operating environment. The main goal is to develop actionable insights that guide strategic decisions, capitalize on the strengths, mitigate weaknesses, seize opportunities, and formulate contingency plans to address the threats. This is an additional information you can give about the industry that your company that you have selected, okay, the company that you have selected operates in. But as I was saying, the main information should be with the data that you collate from the ground. So the various banks, all the banks put together, if you are selecting a bank, if you are selecting a company like Goyle, so the industry players, you can have Total, you can have Vivo as in Shell. Okay, so you have to get all their financial information and put it together. Okay, so for MTN, it's a loan on the stock market, but if you can have information about Airtel, Tigo, and the other one, Vodafone, right? If you can have information about them, you put it together nicely and try to compare industry averages with your company average or your company's figures, right? That is to show whether your company is performing above or below average. Ladies and gentlemen, today's session is quite short. This is it. As I started earlier, I mentioned that the stock pitch presentation document, you have to talk about the economy. I've spoken about it. You have to talk about the industry that the company operates in. You have to talk about the company itself. We'll do that next week. That is a bit detailed. We'll do a little valuation. Okay, we'll go into detail. In fact, we'll go into detail. So from the company analysis, that will be done next week. Then we'll go into valuation of the business. That will be the following week. All right, the evaluation will come with the conclusion, how to put things together to do your presentation. So this is it for today. The economy and the industry analysis. Maxwell, I think I'll end here. If there are any questions, I'll take them and attempt to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kofi. We appreciate that very detailed breakdown from industry analysis to sources for information to SWOT analysis and how we should go about it. This is actually a very detailed presentation. For those of you who have joined us from the beginning till this point, you realize that Kofi went into detail and demonstrated how you could work out some of the basic metrics that we'll be looking out for in the stock pitch competition. But let's not forget that emphasis has always been on brevity. You have to be very brief because you have, I believe, 15 minutes to make your presentation. So what you can do is that you should cram as much information, but at the same time, you should make sure that your work is as how should I put it? Is as neat or as clean and able and testable as possible. You understand? And I haven't been a part of the stock pitch. Can bear witness to the fact that 15 minutes is actually 15 minutes. And if you go over, it actually goes against you. So you should bear that in mind. So thank you, Kofi, for that. At this point, we will be taking questions. I see Isaac Asamoah's hand is up, and I see Christian Sessi's hand is up. But to be fair, let me go to the chat first before I let them speak. A couple of questions did come up mid-presentation, so let me go to the chat first. I believe because the first session dropped, you may have lost a couple of questions in the chat. If you asked the question in the first session before we had to rejoin, kindly ask again, and so that we can address everything. So I believe Frank Kaku was asking, can you repeat the calculations again? I'm not getting it. Unfortunately for Frank, that might not be possible due to time constraints. So what will be happening is Kofi is going to upload this session so you can go and play back, and hopefully you will get clarity from that. Then we have Amini Samuel. Please can we get recordings? Yes, recordings will be uploaded on the Young Investor page. Then can you take us through the process to the finals? I believe when he started, and you see this in the recording, he showed us the journey from what the stock pitch is about to the areas that you'll be looking out for in your presentation. So that should be very concise information you could work with. So again, it will take you back to the recordings. So how do you get recorded version? Okay, so recording will be available on the Young Investor Network's page on YouTube. It's very easy. Just go do an index search for Young Investor Network. You should be able to get our page, then view the latest recording. And I believe Nyako Prince Asari is asking, please, with the industry average, does it mean we need data from all 23 commercial banks in Ghana if I choose commercial bank? Okay, I think your question, Kofi, would you answer that question?
Yes, you need to collect the data from all the banks in the country, so that it will help you get a very good information about what you are doing. Because if you take one out, that will mean that it is not a true reflection of what you are doing. But I want to urge you that, some of the data are not readily available. So what you have online, just use it, all right? So that in your presentation, you can make mention that out of the 23 banks, you got the data for 22 banks. So for 22 bank average, so you make mention that 22 bank average figure, that you make mention that you compare your company with that average. Okay, so I think that answers it.
Okay, thank you. So I think Fafali is asking in the chat that for those without a business background, how do we know what to look for? Okay, so Fafali, I understand that it might be a bit intimidating looking at all these things and you perhaps not having the first clue as to how to go about it. But that's really the whole point of these sessions, right? So yours is to just sit back, like I said, like Kofi said, rather, your team composition should factor everyone's strength. So you don't have a business background, but I believe being able to understand the basics of valuation and company analysis is something that you can, provided you are committed, you can do within a short period, since there are so many resources out there that are so fundamental that you don't need a business background to grasp properly. So if you are following this series, that could be a resource. Additionally, you could fall on members in your community who have business background to explain some of the concepts. Like Kofi said, we don't need too much information. Just tell us your company, how it's performing against what? Against the industry. Then forecast how it will perform. So it's actually a very narrow kind of affair. We are just trying to see whether you can demonstrate knowledge about the company and convince hypothetical investors if they can buy in or exit or perhaps hold the stock. You understand? So it doesn't require that you have a deep understanding of business such that you can be comparable to people who have pursued it for 4 years. I do not think so. So, and I'm a living example. I'm not your traditional business student, but I took part and I leveraged on the strength of my team members to be able to deliver as well. So I believe it's not beyond you. All right. Thank you. All right. So have Azumi, if I choose a manufacturing company like maybe, okay, Fan Milk is not typically manufacturing. It's maybe more along the lines of consumer package or CPG. Okay, but anyway, how many other related companies in the same industry do I use for the industry average? Okay, so Kofi, I think this one goes to you. What he's trying to say is, assuming you select a company that typically doesn't have many industry peers, much more of industry peers who are listed on the exchange, how do you go about it?
Okay, thank you, Maxwell. So I'm visiting this website, GSE. Maxwell, please, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
So you can see I'm visiting GSE website. Network issues. I want to make it quite easy so that we all can follow. So on your screen now you have the GSE website. Okay, so you visit try to get let's look out for market information actually. Market information. Let's see. Let's click on equities and see whether you can get the market information. Market watch. Okay, so I think we can go to data. No, not here. Let's go to data. Then yes, so we have market report here. So at the market report, we have all this information here. So let's download this GSE equities market report. Okay, so quickly open it. Maxwell, can you still see the screen of the
Yes, I can.
Equity market report? Okay, so this is the equities market report.
Yes, I can.
Good. So when you scroll down, the industries that this institution, I don't want to just answer for FanMilk. I want to give a broad picture to all the others so that in case it's not just FanMilk you want to analyze on, you can have access to the information. So there's everything you want on the market is in here. Okay, so these are market leaders, volume traded, volume, market caps. Okay, so this is a sector by sector analysis. All right, so we have finance here. You can see that in finance, there's access, ADB, and so on. All right, this is a breakdown of the sectoral distribution of trades. Distribution, we have GOIL, PBC, Total. All right, food and beverage, you have CPC, FanMilk, Guinness, Hot, Samba. Note, Hot, Samba are in the alternative market. So you don't need to include them when you're doing your analysis. So you can just pick Guinness, FanMilk, and CPC. ICT, we have Clydestone, and the MTN Ghana. I think that's insurance. We have EGL, we have SIC, and so on. So this is where you can get that information from. Okay, it's not really a far place to look out for this information from. Maxwell, I don't know whether I can move on to the. Okay, so there's you Maxwell. Let me just. Are you done with the messages, questions?
Oh, there are just a few before those who have their hands up, just like 2 more.
Okay. So Stephen Pierre says, while Kofi was explaining how to calculate the industry averages, using the 4 banks, for example, I realized that an industry player such as GCB was millions in net interest income, while others were recording thousands. All things being equal, when we find the average net interest income, will it be fair when we include GCB's net income, for example? Yeah, it is fair. It is very fair. That is how they have performed. So we have to put them in there. GCB is a big bank. We all know that. And somebody is also asking, how many people should form a team? 3 people should form a team maximum. You can come as an individual too. this guy too is saying in a situation where you choose a company and that particular company has not,
that's typically
okay, has not publicly not publicly trading comparable, and hence that firm becomes the industry in terms of listed. How do you go about the financials? If the company is not publicly listed, all right, you can, it's part of the industry data that you are collecting, it is okay, all right? But if it's not publicly traded, you can't conduct your analysis on it. You can't conduct your analysis on the UMB. You can't do it on the NIB, all right? The company has to be listed. However, you can include that company when you're doing your data in the terms of the industry analysis. Okay, so we can get all information from GSC. Yes, you can get a lot of the information from GSC. Isaac Asamoah, can you please ask your question?
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
My question, I think you just answered. I wanted to assume I'm doing MTN,
Okay.
and then maybe MTN is the only telco listed on the stock exchange. Now, the other telcos, I have to go and get the information to get the industry average. Will that be correct, as you are mentioning?
Yeah, so I just answered that, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
And how do we even get those information from their
from those companies?
The industry information? Yes. Because the information, one is not listed, the information is not on the GSC or the Ghana Annual Report, or the Ghana Annual Report, both listed and unlisted. All the information are there.
No, not necessarily. So for those companies, you visit their websites. If you don't get it, you don't go kill yourself, right? If you don't get it, just say you didn't get it. Okay, so because the essence of having shareholder protection is the listing on the stock market. So if you're a shareholder of a company that doesn't publish its financials, then that is a problem. You understand? So if you don't get it, don't worry yourself. So you can just make mention of the MTN and you talk about it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Inwell. Manuel. Can you please ask your question? Your hand is up. Yes, Inwell, we can hear you. If you can just mention your name again. Okay, so
hello.
Yeah, hi, we can hear you now. Inwell, we can hear you.
Yes, sorry, I think you answered my question.
I answered it,
I wanted
right?
to ask about the number of... Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask about the number of people to form
About the what?
the number of people to form a group, and about how we will get the recording. Right, you answered it already.
Okay, thank you. So let me briefly go over. We have less than 5 minutes. Let me briefly go over what I have spoken about. So let me quickly switch the screen to the presentation document. Okay, so basically we spoke about the data collection. We did some economy analysis, industry analysis, and with the economy analysis, we all can tell that it is not a difficult task. It is not a difficult task. So I showed you the website you have to visit. That is the Trading Economy Ghana. Let me visit that website again so that we all know what we are. So we have Trading Economics here, tradingeconomics.com. Okay, when you go into it, there's a whole lot of information about this country. So there's GDP, you can click on it, full year GDP growth. There's a whole lot of information. So you just pick inflation, interest rates, depreciation rates. You can pick information about the stock market, put them together and draft English around it. All right. That's the economy analysis. Draft English around it. So I gave you an example here about what I put together in the presentation document. So for me, when I put out my data, this is the information I got out. You don't need to go detail. You don't need to go detail. It's very easy to go about it. And the next thing is the industry analysis. Prince, please give me a minute. I'll answer your question. The industry where we went into the banks. Okay, so if for example, you are choosing a bank to conduct your analysis in, take your time, put out the data. Okay, put everything out correctly. Okay, so I suggested that if you do a 5-year analysis, it is best for you. So with the 5-year analysis, you do the average. So the average, this is the computation for the average. The formula is you put the equal to sign, then you put AVRAG. Okay, the average will come out. All right, then you put in your figure one by one. So for Cowbank, you put the figure, you put a comma. For GCB, you put for the same item. So if you are doing net fees and commission income, you put a comma. For StanChart net fees and commission, put a comma for all of them. Okay, then you can say that you have your average there. Then you pick for the same item. So if you are doing for net interest income, you pick net interest income, Cowbank net interest income. You put the figure, you compare with average. So from here, we can see that Cowbank net interest income is lower by 63% compared to the industry average. Okay, then we also spoke about the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis. So SWOT analysis too, I went into summarize what you need. Let me just drop my number 0244 208 667. You can message me. Please don't call. Just message me with whatever question that you have so that I attempt to answer it. We have less than 10 minutes to drop call here. So Prince, you can try to ask your question. If the line doesn't drop, then you message me. Yes, Prince.
Please, I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Yes, please. It's actually not a question. It's just a suggestion. So I joined Labour. I heard someone asking question around doing the industry